Thanks, folks, and I appreciate this. This is the second year that they have brought a group together to talk about history and art history, and as somebody who has been doing this for more years, sort of informally pushing than I can count, I really appreciate the efforts you have done in helping us get all this organized. I promote myself. I am still at Chapel Hill, actually, as a chief history nut. I have been pushing. I was looking at notes and realized that they were from a BOF on history from 2008. So that's been a while. We have the opportunity to ask the SIGGRAPH Executive Committee to make us an official committee, which will make it easier for us to get some publication and hopefully to get some money. So you might say, why in the world we want to have one, and what would such a committee do? Tentative, we're going to decide on this, but I think that our mission is likely to be to collect, preserve, and make materials accessible. I think in a meeting, I think it was in Vancouver the first time we met there, we said preserve first, make accessible, and then worry about making history. So the second part of this, what we're going to do is collect and preserve and make accessible, and we want to encourage through our activities that history be done, histories be written, that will document computer graphics and particularly ACM SIGGRAPH, that will teach people and we hope will inspire them, that you might be the butterfly that makes the hurricane or the decision to add an extra 8 bits to the upper end of the frame buffer. You might have called it an overlay, but it became the alpha channel and that made a huge difference. So small decisions that can make big differences. Now the history of computer graphics or the history of SIGGRAPH is a huge job. People come to SIGGRAPH for a million reasons, so there are a million pieces of history that need to be recorded, that need to be documented. I don't do word clouds very well. There's a really nice one that apparently came from Vancouver that I saw on somebody's t-shirt this morning, but I couldn't find to get added to this. So again, there's just lots of aspects that make this a huge job. We're not looking that this would be something like 6 volumes of the history, Churchill's history of the Second World War, because we live in a media-rich time, and so the expectation is that it will be much richer than that. So again, why now? Why are we getting organized now when we have been doing things ad hoc for 10 years or so?
Talk a little closer to the mic when you're doing.
Well, the fact is that we're going to lose things. We're going to lose people. We're aging and dying. There are many of us who have gray hair. Some have had blue on the gray this week. And there are lots of films and videotapes that are dusty. Some of them are in attics that are very hot. So the films are going to crumble, the tapes are going to get corrupted, and we're going to lose our history if we don't record it now. It's not so, the salvaging paper is not so hard because a lot of it has been scanned and paper can be archived. Swag is fun, but it's not going to disappear. Somebody still does have to document it, but remember that it's a big job and we have a lot to do. So again, why now? To date, most of the projects that have been going on have been labors of love. Joan Collins, who is here, has scanned all of the materials of everything the LA chapter has ever done and submitted it to the Babbage Institute. Yes, she is doing many other things, but that is one of the things that she has done. Julian Gomez, a shameless plug for his panel tomorrow morning on the history of graphics at JPL. He is also working with someone that will be a book written on that. So labors of love. But now we really believe that because we've got to address these materials we're going to lose, that it's time to formalize it before people die, before the tapes turn to dust. So putting together a committee that will prioritize and help facilitate projects. Okay. Oops, the slides are out of order. That's okay. So kind of what are we thinking? It's a big project. A lot of delegation will have to go on. A lot of crowdsourcing will have to go on. As people sort of know that you're interested in history and you might be willing to sort of try to organize this, they kind of come to you. So the idea would be we'd have a relatively small steering history committee. Collectively would have breadth. over many of the portions of our history, and individually have depth in particular areas that are of interest to us. Completely unidentified people to lead projects that we need to have visions, and the people who will make the things happen. And then lots of people who will contribute, who will help the historians or do history themselves. Now, we're really not doing this in a vacuum. I have been privileged to be a member of the ACM History Committee for the last 6 years, and we work with real historians who write kind of dense papers. We do much more interesting things than they do. And through them, I have met the director of the Charles Babbage Institute, which is the official repository for ACM's history, and the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Computer History Museum. So we have talked with both of those organizations about archiving parts of our history. The Babbage does a lot of paper. The History Museum obviously has hardware. They have paper. They're interested in film. And they have staffs of curators and work with historians to make the material accessible and help people get access to it. There's a real challenge, a true computer science challenge, in figuring out how we do a union catalog and cross-index across materials that are in the ACM Digital Library, might be on the SIGGRAPH website, might be at the Babbage, might be at the History Museum. Oh, by the way, Chuck Suri's stuff's all at Ohio State, and there's all the stuff at Utah. I mean, it's kind of a nightmare, and I can only think of it in small chunks. Okay, so who can be a historian? It's not just the people who sit in the and write histories up in the stacks in the library. There are factual histories that are just narratives of what actually happened are very, very valuable. Timelines, that's the simplest thing that can be done. Curated collections, if you have a particular expertise, you can figure out what's important about a collection, and then we will send only the important stuff to these serious archiving sites. A lot that they have asked that we do pre-curation because there is so much stuff. And then there's the interpretive and analytical histories, which are really very interesting in terms of long-term, what's the impact for what people can learn from our history and how that can learn from it. Those are harder, and it takes a different kind of person. So there's a role for a lot of different people. So what are the things you can do to help historians? If you don't want to do a history, what can you do to help? Collect things, make collections, curate collections. Interviews, formal interviews, informal interviews. The ACM History Committee sponsored an oral history workshop to help us learn how to interview each other about the important things that we have done. They're willing, if we choose to do that, we can have one of those workshops for SIGGRAPH people. Somebody's got to make it prettier than I can make it. I don't do pretty. Data architects, it's not a graphics thing, but somebody has to think about how to organize it. Dave Kasich is laughing because he worried about how to keep the data straight at Boeing for so long. IT infrastructure, making sure that we've got the backups we need, that we have the space we need, that the interfaces are well designed. The deep thinkers who have been in the technology for years, we need them involved so we can figure out what are the next best 50 papers. Are we going to have another Seminoles paper book for the 50th anniversary? Don't know. And there's digitizing, scanning, and scanning. So there's lots of opportunity. I hope that by tomorrow that we will have an official SIGGRAPH, graphics history at SIGGRAPH.org email address, and that will be one way for people to get in touch with us. And we are interested in having your stuff within reason. I've got a pretty full garage already. I sent 18 boxes of course notes out for scanning about 2 weeks ago. So I've been talking about that for years. So it's a daunting mission. The scope is huge, but believe we are on the path of getting started doing some good work. Thank you.
See how quick we can make this transition. Hi, everybody. Oh, that's not mine. I'm screwing up already. I haven't even started yet.
I'm Terrence Masson. There you go. And I think Mary and I make a great couple because...
Hair's not blue.
No, it's not blue. I'm not as cool as you. I'm just saying we're a great couple. I'm getting to that. Let's see. Because my big thing is people as I coming up here. So I was conference chair in 2010. And woohoo, yeah, we got a fan. Committee. Yeah, and my theme for the conference was the people behind the pixels, because I'm all about, I love friends, colleagues, stories that are in people's heads. Because as of today, anyway, we don't know what Nicholas Negroponte and others do. It's slightly easier to restore old tape than it is to bring somebody back from the dead, but only slightly. So what I want to do is continue to interview and talk with our brilliant pioneers, because with very, very, very few exceptions, thankfully, everyone's still not only alive and kicking, but active and excited and working and doing new things. Chuck Suri's 90. There's lots of other people that are, and I'm giving myself 10 minutes, and I'm already, haven't gone to my timer yet. Somebody got that for me? I'll go to 8.
We'll kick you out.
8 minutes, there we go. So next year, my daughter's in the back row. Next year will be my 30th SIGGRAPH, which is a few, but I can see a few people in here that have been going a lot longer than I have. But I love SIGGRAPH dearly. I wrote a book called CG 101. Some of you probably have it. I'll say the same thing that I do to all the SVs every year. Anyone who emails me and asks can have a copy for free. I'll mail it to you, no questions asked. I want to give this away to especially the students. It's all about the history of the pioneers and the founders of the companies from personal interviews. So that's where this whole people behind the pixels thing came for me. So I did a second edition, did a Japanese edition, and then decided, okay, I love to read real books, but I don't like to write them anymore. So right now, the people behind the pixels is online. So this is, you can go here now. It's historyofcg.com. It's just a labor of love of mine. I'm paying very talented graduate students of mine out of my own pocket, and just trying to get it. First, we put all of this book online, and I thought I would just put that out to say, for me, for this history stuff, that's what I'm really about, is talking to you, hearing your stories, and for now, for a repository, putting it online, and also, as everyone here knows, making this infrastructure available for others who want it. It's free to use. It's basically an open graphic wiki right now. Anybody can go in, make a login, make an account, and do stuff. So the idea about this is, and I want to spend about 2 minutes just showing this off because I'm really happy. Basically, we mentioned timeline. So the default, you land, is here, and you see, let me actually go in a little bit here. That's a little better. History, computer graphics, there you go, ta-da. So big old timeline. Right now, I've narrowed it down to 1940 to 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but you say, you know, and if you mouse over anything, I hope everybody will go here and play around afterwards. If you mouse over any one of these things, it's all color-coded, and I'll show you what those are about. But basically, if we go into any one of these, Garot shading, January 1st, 1971. But I'll go to a better example. If we search for something with a lot of current entries, yeah, Pixar is spelled with a C. Yeah, right. No, I'm not saying that at all. So it's like, so for instance, so I just dove down into Pixar, and the timeline updates. So every entry on this page, it's basically tiles. So Pixar is the page, and you can see it's color-coded. Green is organizations, blue is people, orange is projects, purple is events. So right now, the timeline has reset to everything only about Pixar. But what if I want to know, well, what about everything between 1984 and 1992-ish, right? So right now, there's only 2 entries. So Pixar was formed in 1986. So you click on that, and you get the story. So it's basically full of tiles, and this is just the first of the main thing. It's just the information. So basically, you go to anything you want, and you can sort it. I want to just see the people involved with Pixar. You click on that, and it sorts all the tiles, so you only see the people. And then if you go into an individual tile, like I want to see more about Ed. every page is filled with links to everything that is related to that person. So again, it's all about the people behind the pixels, and I'll show you that. So if, again, anyone can, I'm going to embarrass myself and Jim, since he's in the front row. Where's Jim? There's Jim, James. Bloop. Jim James. I know, I could. Your birth date's not online, so I'll ask you to correct that later, but I guessed. 1949-ish. There he goes. What a handsome. Yay, look, the same sweater. What a surprise. So the beauty of this is, to me, is so let's say you worked with Jim somewhere, sometime, and you have an entry. So I didn't, but I'll show you. So once you make a login, you can go and this button is exposed once you make a login. So I'll click on that and say edit page. So here's the back end of Jim's page, and every page has the type of page. It's blue, so you know it's a person. Name, some tags. You write a bio, birthday, and then you can add stories. Right now, so again, People Beyond the Pixels is about the stories. This is not about archiving digital media, archival quality, anything. You can write text. I know I have a story to tell about Jim. I have an image of Jim, or I have a link to a video. So I've gone that far. At least it's that robust. But over on the right, this is the cool part. So connections. So let's just say, I didn't, but let's say I worked with Jim at JPL. So, and I'm not on his page. So I'll type in, oh look, I have a page. So I'll type this, and I'll say connect entries. So now I'm listed as connected to Jim. So if we go back to the view, the entry, the next time somebody comes to Jim's page, you'll look and you'll see, where am I? There I am. Oh yeah. This is my brilliant contribution to my undergraduate degree of Mac Paint. So, oh, Terrence worked with Jim. Oh, who's this guy? Never heard of him. So there's my page. So et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is any and all of you, hopefully, will come here, make a login, call me for help if you want, but make your own page, right? Put in your own stories, go to other people's pages, connect. So suddenly it's this massive spider web of you've worked with me and we both worked there and we know this story and corroborated this. Eventually, soon, I hope, it'll be semi-curated somehow. We'll get some people with some time and can kind of go through here and say, well, that's complete bullshit. Ooh, sorry. That's not how that story happened. We're on a 5-second delay in the stream, right? But you get the idea. You know, Wikipedia has the people who are anointed with editing and correcting all the craziness. But right now, anybody can do anything, basically, and there hasn't been any maliciousness yet. So that's basically it. I know I got a minute or two-ish. But, yeah, so visible timeline, homepage. It's all working so far. Mary pointed out, I think the glitch in the recover your password thing is being fixed as we say, but there you go. So, but yeah, hit the contact button. That'll contact me. I'm just terrence.masson@gmail.com, and Chris is here. Actually, he hasn't been to a SIGGRAPH in like 15 years. So when we're done with this, and not until we're done. He's overdoing a 30th anniversary of blue sky rendering technology stuff.
Nice.
So that would be, it's overlapped, so it's going on slightly after this. But anyway, yeah, stories to encourage people. And as soon as we start getting this organized with maybe a tiny bit of budget and organization, I'm personally going to advocate for interviewing people. And just like all the problems with getting standards for reading media, how do you record people? Is it going to be on video? Is it just going to be audio? What format? Et cetera, et cetera. And then, can you do it remotely? Do you have to fly off to all these people everywhere and do it in person? Well, ideally, yes, but then suddenly that starts adding up to a lot of dollars. So, perfect timing. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. So, a historyofcg.com. Please go, please play. If you find anything that's quirky, just email me. I'll fix it. And again, anybody, especially students, but really anybody, let me know if you want a book. I'll give you one. And I guess that's it. Oh, and don't you love the gender makeup of this committee? This is so awesome. Women in computer graphics. I got to say that. I got 2 daughters.
Excellent.
This is great. No, this is awesome. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, great girls.
That's right. Excellent. Brianna.
February 23rd. Did I get the year right? 49? I'll put it off by a day.
And our final talk, and then I hope to open it up for lots of questions, input, a discussion. Our final talk is Jan and I, and we are going to be talking about the SIGGRAPH Art Show archives that we've been working on. My name is Bonnie Mitchell. I'm a professor at Bowling Green State University, and I've been doing a lot of volunteer work for SIGGRAPH since 1990 when I was a student volunteer, and coming every year. And my partner...
Hi, I'm Jan Searleman. Like Mary, I'm recently retired from Clarkson University, but I continue as an adjunct research professor at Clarkson, which means I get to do projects I love to do. So we'd like to also have our two students come up.
So Troy just joined us, Troy Yarnell, who works on technical development, and Brianna Henson, who is our content manager. And this project's been going on for a little while, so we actually have a larger team, a couple students that couldn't meet with us and come here to meet with us that are still working on the team very actively. Matter of fact, I got some emails from them today. And we have some past students that have been involved.
So let me give you a brief history of this archive project. It's actually rooted in incredible work that Bonnie has done in the past. But we started this as part of the Digital Arts Community Project, and it took off really in its new incarnation in the spring semester of 2016, where we worked out basic information architecture and came up with a prototype. Here are a few images from the project as we showed it last year at SIGGRAPH. In the fall of 2017, we had new students join the project. You'll hear Troy talk about some of the work he did on the back-end infrastructure. We decided to go to pods. And also in the spring of 2017, we started to really take off with adding content to our project. As Mary said, scanning, and then more and more scanning. This summer we were able to hire a team of students, and that leads into my next slide, because I would like to thank very much the ACM History Committee and the ACM SIGGRAPH History for their very generous support for our projects, which enabled us to have all of these students do all of this tremendous work for us. Right now we've added a lot of content. We have 10 years completed with metadata for those years. And last year when we presented our project, a suggestion was made, well, you've been concentrating on SIGGRAPH SIGGRAPH art shows. Why not include SIGGRAPH Asia art shows? And as digital art community members, how about the online digital art community online shows as well? So those are new additions to our current archive. We also, as you will hear from Troy, done a lot of work with the back-end programming and customizable fields and templates. Here's some statistics, but I will have to say that these are already inaccurate because we have students back at Bowling Green who are very energetically scanning and adding more and more content as I speak today. But roughly we have over 1,000 people entered into our archive. This is artists, speakers, authors, chairs, and so on. We also have, as you can see, many, many artworks. The majority of the artworks are 2D and wall hung, but we still have many artworks of, you can see the different kinds of categories that we have. And we also wanted to include writings, our talks, panels, etc. for these things. So to date we have roughly 9 SIGGRAPH art shows that are in the archive. The asterisk means that it's almost there, except there is some information we still need. In this case, we need some of the artist statements that go along with the artwork themselves. We have 2 SIGGRAPH Asia conferences that are completed, and we have the DAC online show, Altered Books, in this. We've so far scanned and formatted artwork for 17 years worth, and it's a big process. Brianna will be talking about a lot of what we need to do to get it in the form so that it can go into our archive. And I really must say that we need to do a lot of proofing of this. If you see anything that's inaccurate or you look at your own pages, please contact us. We would love to hear from you. And now Bonnie is going to talk about the archive itself.
We've developed a new interface from last year, and we have 5 major sections. Now you will see that the icons here only show 4, because our 5th one we don't feel as though it's quite ready to go live. The first category is artwork. Then we have artists and authors. Then we have art exhibitions, that's by year. And then we have writings and talks. And that 5th one that we're working on that we're pretty excited about is visualization of the data. So in the artwork category, we keep adding new categories as we run into things that don't fit into existing categories. So, but it was quite clear that we had a lot of images that hung on the wall over the years, and 3D sculptures and art animations, experimental videos. There was one year that focused on architecture, and then artist books, art sites, designs, installations, interactive like net art, performances, and then just a couple days ago we're like, what are we going to do with the immersive expressions artwork from the DAC show? Oh my goodness, we better add a VR AR category. And we do have a lot of VR AR from over the years, so that will be a new category that will get added. When you click on one of those categories, for instance, 2D wall hung, up comes a page, and please be patient at this point because we're working on performance. It takes a little while to load, but there are 500 images that load up, not all on one page. We have like 120 per page. But you can access the artwork at that point and then dig in deeper to get to the artist, the year, and all information that we have about that artwork. And then we have, as I said, if you click on that artwork itself, we have information such as the title and the size and the category and artist statement, technical statements. Sometimes there were process statements. We have links that will enable you to go to any associations that are related to that artwork itself. Each of those artworks also have metadata in them embedded into the image itself. So that enables us to even think in a broader sense of how it gets connected to other databases. This is my most exciting part, because I can select a person alphabetically, and then it lists all their contributions over all the years since 1981. And that could be their writings, their artworks, if they chaired a show, or if they were a collaborator with somebody else. And so when we get finished, this will be sort of a profile of your life in relationship to SIGGRAPH.
So here are our 3 categories for the art exhibitions. You can see if you can select an individual year and just go directly to it, or if you just want to see all of the SIGGRAPH art shows or SIGGRAPH Asia or the DAC shows, you can see we have icons for each one of them. And if you choose one of them, such as SIGGRAPH 1995, again, every one of these has a cover page that has the information about the chair or co-chair, the title of the art show gallery when it sometimes had titles. You can see relevant juries, committees, all of the information about that show, followed by the artworks that were appeared in that show, and then any related writings. We wanted to also include art talks, art papers, and so on. All of the art that was part of SIGGRAPH 1995 would appear in this page. For writings and talks, we have 4 categories. We put together art talks and sketches because they're related. We have essays, we have panels and roundtables together, and we have papers. So, for example, if you want to look at some screens of, say, all of the art talks or papers, there's a paper by Patrick Prince up there. If you click on that to expand that out, we have a description of the paper, the author, the year he wrote that seminal work, and in some cases when we have it a PDF to view or download. Similarly, for the art talks, same type of thing. You can see an abstract, the person, the year, and so on. Next, we're going to hear about the back end. So, Troy, take it away.
Hi, I'm Troy Arnell. I'm a recent graduate from BGSU with a focus in video programming and robotics. And on this project, I was the back-end web developer. So kind of the biggest change that we made at least when I came onto the project, was the use of Pods. Pods is a content management system that's very customizable. It's also very dynamic and flexible in the ways it can relate data and custom stuff to other data and be able to display that as we're entering it instead of having to create other things to display it. So with Pods, we're able to create custom fields that they all have. You can set different types of just plain text or dates or web URLs, and we're also, the biggest thing is having relationship fields, which allows us to tie some custom types to others. So for instance, if we have a post that's for an artist, we can enter all the artist's data, their name, age, all their information. And then when we go to add artworks, we can pull down a list of people in the artist field that was from the list of people we've already entered. And it can even be just people that are tagged as artists. So that way we can separate it more and actually make it easier and quicker on the data management side to add all that stuff in. And then that's automatically tied back. So if you were to go back into the artist, they would have that artwork listed under their works. And then what comes next is being able to template or auto send it to the front end so it's displayed as we're entering it. And using these templates, we only have to write one to display all the artworks or all the people. And that makes it really nice because that way we don't have to create each page for each artwork and then we end up with thousands of pages and it keeps it from being a mess, basically. And these are really nice because they integrate well with the custom post types and custom taxonomies and Pods, and they are fully, you can use HTML, CSS just like you would any basic website that you have online. So that's been really helpful in just getting all this stuff out there. And I guess I'll throw it over to Bree to talk about the content itself.
Hi, I'm Brianna Henson. I recently graduated from BGSU. and my focus was 3D animation and 3D modeling. So my job was content management. So I'm just going to be talking about the steps or the process of adding content. So first we gathered all the images from catalogs, CDs and DVDs, online materials, the digital library from ACM, and slides from the 80s and 90s. So what we do is we scan, if per se we did the catalogs, we scan all the catalogs pages, and we scan them at 600 DPI, and we pull those and we create PDF files, and then we put them into TIFF files. We pull them into Adobe Photoshop, and we crop out the images of the artwork. And then from there, we crop the image and resize it by 1920 by 1080, and we save it out as a JPEG. Next, we go into Adobe Bridge, and we select all the images, and we add a base template that puts all the copyright info on it, and then we go to each individual image, and we add the title of the artwork, the name of the artist, the date, collaborators, and any copyright info that needs to be added on there. And here's an example of the kind of the back end of adding people. We add people first because we have this search bar when you enter in artworks where it'll just search the person because it's already in the database when we enter it here. And you can add their name and all the info of the person. So if they're an author or an artist, a chair or a speaker or a presenter, you can also add their job title and their bio. Next, this is the back-end page of entering artworks. So you can add the file of the artwork, and on the left, on my left, you can see a preview of the image, which I like, so you can see and make sure it actually is the image. And then you can add the artist name where you can search it, the artist category where it'll have like 2D or 3D animation, whatever the artwork category is. And you can also add the collaborators, the title, the medium, the artwork year, the size, the artist statement, and at the bottom, the exhibition that it was in. And then we have entering writings. So this is where we would enter in all our essays and papers. And the panels are Art Talk. And you can see the drop-down box where it'll show you where you can enter in the writing type. There's also the area where you can enter in the title, the author's name, and the abstract if there's one. And if it's a long paper, we can add it as a PDF file so you can view it on the site. All right.
So we obviously have a lot more work to do. So we want to really focus on getting all the content that we have added to this database where it is. And as I mentioned earlier, the performance is a little slow right now, so we're really working on that with the help of Ken Bauer and some other SIGGRAPH folks. And we also need to get in there and proofread all these pages. Sometimes there's errors when we translate it, through OCR, and sometimes it was just printed wrong in the catalog to begin with. And so we actually need your help on that.
Another exciting addition, very new, is this idea of visualizing data. So we right now have just a start on a visualization. You can see that word cloud that's up in the upper corner there. But we can also do things like in the image where you see the countries, that's from the IZEA database. We'd like to be able to do things like perhaps see where do all these artists come from, and maybe bring up a map or that type of information. So we're working on that as a future type of idea. It's also important because this is a resource. This is meant that you can, it's not just preserving the past, it's meant to be an active resource that researchers and students and educators, the community at large, we can use it to kind of look at what happened at SIGGRAPH. What are the trends through the year? What are all these wonderful artworks that have been done in there? So we're working on getting more advanced search capabilities added into this. And then we also want to be able to handle, as Bonnie said, virtual reality and video and that type of thing. Which means we need you. We need you and you and you and you because we need a lot of this information. And at this point, I really want to give a special thanks to Cynthia Rubin, to Jeff Jortner, to Mary Witten, and to Scotty Huang for their contributions. They gathered for us some very wonderful information and images. And there are others that we're talking to about getting that. But anyone that has, particularly the early art shows, those are some things we're missing. As I mentioned earlier, we're missing some artist statements. So we'd like to be able to do that. Particularly, we want to add the remaining SIGGRAPH Asia information and their images. And in many cases, the resolution quality of what we have is lacking. So we really would like to get higher quality, higher resolution images.
And you can help by getting online and proofing your page. If you're an artist that has contributed a writing or an artwork, most likely you have a page, maybe not, maybe we haven't gotten to those years yet, but talk to us if you don't have a page there, and we will easily make you one, and you can add your bio. As Jan said, there's a lot of missing information, especially bios. Those were not included for many, many years, so they're somewhat rare. And also, once we get this, maybe a little more robust and filled with stuff, you can link to it from your site, and then we can have this reciprocal web relationship going. So we'd like to open it up to questions to all three, actually we've got 4 here, 5, 6 panelists. And so first of all, I want to thank you for coming, but we'd invite you to start a discussion, questions. So if we could get you two guys to come back up. Any questions or suggestions?
Hold it, wait a minute, hold on.
Yes,